Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down the Week 5 Monday Night Football Showdown slate on Draftkings. We got the Colts and the Ravens playing on Monday night. As always guys, we're going to talk through tonight's Showdown slate, break it all down like we always do, go from top to bottom. We're going to hit on all the playable options, all the guys I do have interested in for this slate, and then towards the end of the video we will kind of talk through roster construction, talk about how I'm looking to build out my lineups, how you should be correlating your lineups on these showdown slates. We will discuss that closer to the end of the video. But before we get started with the breakdown, as always, I would appreciate it if you guys would click that like button down below. If you're new to the channel here, make sure you do click that subscribe button as well. A lot of you guys that watch my videos are not subscribed. It is around 50%, so around half the viewers, half of you guys that watch my videos are not subscribed. So please do hit that subscribe button. It's obviously free. It's not going to cost you anything. That way, when you subscribe, you'll see all my videos right there on your YouTube homepage. You'll see them in your subscription feed. You won't have to search up my name every time you go into YouTube. So please hit that subscribe button and comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite plays for tonight's Showdown slate. Maybe let me know how your Week 5 main slate went. I'm always reading the comments, guys. I'm always trying to interact with you. So if you have any comments, any feedback, whatever it may be, you can comment that down below. And I'm always talking with you guys down there in the comment section. Also, I want to let you know that I will be streaming Monday night, probably around 6:30 Eastern. I do always live stream on my YouTube channel for these showdown slates. So every Monday night, every Thursday night, I'm streaming usually an hour or two before kickoff. Again, talking through the slate with you guys, answering any questions you have, and breaking everything down once again. So be sure to tune into the live stream on Monday night on my YouTube channel. But let's go ahead and talk through this showdown slate. We'll start off at the top, and again, we'll just kind of work through the entire player pool, break everything down. So at the top, Lamar Jackson, clear top option here on this showdown slate, and that really goes for basically any slate that the Ravens are on. Any showdown slate where the Ravens are playing, Lamar Jackson is going to be a top option. I assume, when the projections come out tomorrow on Monday, we'll probably see Lamar Jackson projected for 5-6 more fantasy points than the next highest guy. I mean, Lamar is clearly the best play on this slate. I think he's probably, if you're playing like cash games, you definitely want to be playing Lamar at captain. I think Lamar will be by far the highest owned captain on this slate. So, in tournaments, if you're playing a lot of lineups, I don't think you really need to go like all in on Lamar captain, because there are some other guys that have upside that, could outscore Lamar. But clearly Lamar's the best play on this slate. If I'm playing 100 lineups tonight, there's a good possibility I would play Lamar in every single lineup. Now, I don't know if I'd play him in captain at every single lineup, but I would still have a very good amount of exposure to Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's going to be like 90% owned. It's kind of, it feels like the Christian McCaffrey thing. I know Christian McCaffrey last time, we had that showdown slate, he got injured, and if you faded him, you lucked out. This, as long as Lamar doesn't get hurt or something, he's probably going to be in the winning lineup, and there's a good chance he's going to be the winning captain too. So I don't need to talk too much about Lamar. You guys know that he's the best play on the slate. But then you got Hollywood Brown at 11K. I think Hollywood Brown is someone we can look to as a captain option. I think Hollywood Brown has enough upside to be a winning captain. Obviously, he could outscore Lamar. We know Hollywood Brown has massive upside. He can go for 100 yards and multiple touchdowns any game. He's kind of been unlucky this year when it comes to drops. I know he's dropped like a few long touchdowns. He's definitely should have had some better games than he did. I know that week 3 against Detroit, like he dropped a couple touchdowns that game. Should have had a massive game then. I mean, he's been really good this year. He's been scoring touchdowns, 3 touchdowns in 4 games. I definitely like Hollywood Brown. I think, he's clearly a top option here as well. I do probably prefer the quarterbacks over Marquise Brown, and normally, I'm going to always prefer quarterbacks over receivers, especially like in cash. Quarterbacks just give you such a high floor. But, at 11K, Marquise Brown's a really good option too. And then Carson Wentz at 10,200. Definitely have interest in Carson Wentz here. He's not someone that I've really played much at all this season. But obviously on a showdown slate, it's not like we really have any other options. I mean, he's like the only, one of the 2 quarterbacks we have to play. So, at 10,200, I think Carson Wentz makes for a very safe floor option and a guy that does have some upside. Now, we haven't really seen a big game yet from Carson Wentz this season. His best game was week 1 against Seattle, where he had 19 Draftkings points. I don't think I'd be playing Carson Wentz at captain. I just don't know if he has enough upside to be the winning captain. I think for Carson Wentz to be the winning captain tonight, you're going to need like 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and then he's probably going to also have to run a touchdown, which could happen, but I think I'm more likely to use him in the flex. I think he's a very high floor option, very safe play. Quarterbacks are always going to be very safe options. Quarterbacks are always going to be some of the top projected players on showdown slates, and normally I'm always going to be interested in both of the quarterbacks. And I think that's kind of the same here. Even though the matchup on the road against Baltimore is not the best, Carson Wentz can still get us 16, 18 DraftKings points tonight pretty easily. So I do like him a lot at 10,200. Again, I have interest in both of the quarterbacks, and I do want to hop over to Prize Picks and talk about both of the quarterbacks over there. So right now, Prize Picks fantasy point projection for the quarterbacks, they have a 15 fantasy point projection for Carson Wentz, and then a 22.5 fantasy point projection for Lamar Jackson. I'm liking both the overs on these guys. So both quarterbacks going over their projection. I'm liking a good amount tonight. I mean, Carson Wentz has gone over 15 fantasy points in 3 of their 4 games this season. I think the game script's going to be very favorable for him. This is probably going to be another game where the Colts are playing from behind. They're probably going to have to throw the ball 35, 40 times. I mean, right now they're 7-point road dogs. So, yeah, I think game script alone is going to make Carson Wentz easily be able to go over 15 fantasy points just because he's probably going to have to throw the ball 35, 40 times. And then Lamar Jackson, 22.5 fantasy points, I think does feel a little bit too low of a projection for him as well. We know the massive upside that Lamar has. So far this year, he's only gone over this projection 2 of their 4, or actually just 1 of their 4 games. But still, Lamar can go out there and throw for 250, 300 yards any night. We know he's got massive rushing upside. He has the potential to run for 80, 100 yards any night. I like over 22.5 fantasy points for Lamar Jackson as well. I think both quarterbacks go over their projection on Prize Picks. So those are 2 picks I do like on Prize Picks for tonight. And we're going to talk about one more I like as well. But if you guys want to tail me on these picks, if you want to check out Prize Picks, they are the sponsor of this video. You can check them out. Link down below in the description, or just make sure to use promo code NOAH when you do sign up for Prize Picks. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100, and you can check out their entire board for this Monday night game. You can see all the projections they have available, and it's very simple. You just pick the over or the under on their projections. So check them out, guys, and make sure to use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up for Prize Picks. But let's go ahead and head back to DK, talk about some of these other guys at the top. So you got Jonathan Taylor at 9,800. Jonathan Taylor, man, I don't know if this is going to be a slate where I really get much exposure to Jonathan Taylor. I think he's going to be a very lower owned guy. I mean, I don't think he's going to be he's not going to be 10% owned, but out of all the top tier options, so, the quarterbacks, Marquise Brown, Jonathan Taylor will definitely be the lowest owned of all the top tier options, which I guess kind of makes him appealing in tournaments, but the matchup on the road against Baltimore is not great. The game script's not going to be good for him either. The Colts are 7-point dogs here. I think we might see a lot of Nyheim Hines in this game. Nyheim Hines is someone they use a lot in the pass game, and I think, the Colts are going to be trailing here, probably going to have to throw a lot in the second half. They're probably going to be playing from behind. Look, Jonathan Taylor's a great running back. He's got upside, but this is just not the best spot for Jonathan Taylor. I don't think he's going to be someone that I have a ton of exposure to on this slate. But obviously, it wouldn't be surprising to see him go off. I just don't know if I'm going to get there personally. Michael Pittman, though, I do have a good amount of interest in. Michael Pittman, he's been the number 1 target for the Colts this season. Really with T.Y. Hilton out and on IR, Michael Pittman's been their number 1 receiver. He's got 36 targets through 4 games, so he's averaging 9 targets per game. Michael Pittman's a guy that at some point is going to break out. He's someone that should be having way better games than he is. I mean, he's getting 10, 12 targets a game, and he's only scoring 11 DraftKings points, 13 DraftKings points. He did have a really big game against the Rams in week 2, 8 catches, 123 yards that week. But when you're getting this much volume, when you're getting 12 targets, 8 targets, you're going to have a 6-catch, 120-yard touchdown game, at some point. And I think that's coming for Michael Pittman. Now, this matchup on the road against Baltimore, this game environment is not the best, but the opportunity is clearly there for Michael Pittman right now. He's Carson Wentz's go-to guy. I think at 9K, yeah, he's definitely someone I do have some interest in. I think he's a captain viable option. If I'm playing 100 lineups or 150 lineups on this Showdown slate, I would have Michael Pittman in my captain player pool, and I think I would have some exposure to him in the captain spot because he does have the upside to be a winning captain. He could go for 5 catches, 6 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. So I do like Michael Pittman a good amount. Zach Pascal, not as interested in. He just hasn't been getting enough volume, or he just hasn't been getting as much volume as Michael Pittman has. So between Pittman or Pascal, I do prefer Zach Pascal, but Pascal has gotten pretty good or pretty lucky this year with the touchdowns. He scored 3 touchdowns compared to only 1 for Michael Pittman. So, touchdowns are something you can't really predict. They're definitely random statistics that, just nobody can predict. I don't think anyone would be surprised if Zach Pascal caught 2 touchdowns tonight. So he kind of feels more of a touchdown or bust type of play, whereas Michael Pittman, I think, is a lot safer. I think he gives you that high target floor. We know he's going to get probably 6 to 8 targets minimum, and obviously has the potential to get double-digit targets. So yeah, definitely think Michael Pittman's a really good option. I think Zach Pascal's like touchdown or bust. And I just realized Michael Pittman has not scored a touchdown this year. So yeah, no touchdowns this year for Michael Pittman. I mean, there's some regression coming there, positive regression coming for him for sure. Like with how much volume he's getting, at some point Michael Pittman's going to find the end zone. He's someone I do like buying low on. Definitely have interest in him. And Pascal's fine too. I just prefer Pittman. But then you got Latavius Murray at 7,400. Latavius Murray was the number one running back for Denver last week. Tyson Williams was actually a healthy scratch for the Ravens last week. He did not play at all. They used Latavius Murray kind of as their feature back. Got 18 carries for 59 yards. No usage in the passing game though, which is definitely not what we want to see. So far with the Ravens, he's literally like just had no involvement in the passing game at all. 0 targets. I don't think I'm going to go to Latavius Murray on this slate. Like, I think he's definitely touchdown or bust. Like, with just the minimal amount of usage he's getting, I mean, he's probably going to get like 12 to 15 carries, but you're going to need him to run for 70 to 100 yards and probably get at least 1, if not 2 touchdowns, because he's not going to get there on volume. He's not going to get enough usage to be a guy that can, put up 20 DK points without scoring a touchdown. Like, in order for Latavius Murray to put up 20 DK points or 15 DK points, he's probably going to have to score a touchdown. So I'm fine just not playing Latavius Murray. I think he's a little bit expensive for my liking. He's definitely touchdown or bust. I'd rather go to someone like Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, 6,600. I do have some interest in. He does feel a little bit underpriced on this Showdown slate. We know Mark Andrews is a heavily utilized option in this Ravens offense. He always has been. We know he's always a threat, in the red zone. And another thing for Mark Andrews, I think there's some positive touchdown regression coming for him as well. He has yet to score a touchdown this season, which is, really rare because Mark Andrews was like, I don't know how many touchdowns he had last season, but he definitely had a good amount for a tight end with, 25 targets on the season and no touchdowns. I mean, at some point, Andrews is going to find the end zone. It could definitely happen here. At 6,600, I do like Mark Andrews quite a bit. We know Mark Andrews has those 2 touchdown games in him. Like, he can get you 6 catches, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he's someone that I do have some interest in the captain spot. I think he makes a good amount of sense as a cheaper captain because he's got that, multiple touchdown upside that you're looking for in the captain spot. So definitely have a lot of interest in Andrews, just overall flex and captain. But then talking about some of the cheaper options on this slate, getting 6K and below, looking at some of the value. Sammy Watkins at 5,800. Also have some interest in Sammy Watkins. He's just been getting very good volume in this Ravens offense. 29 targets through 4 games. Another guy that hasn't really found the end zone yet, but the opportunity is there. He's getting the volume, 7 targets, 3 games in a row, got 8 targets week 1. I want to hop back over to Prize Picks, talk about his prop right now. So Sammy Watkins, they currently have him projected for 40.5 receiving yards. I definitely have a pretty good lean on the over there. I think that projection is just too low. I think it's going to rise as the day goes on because Sammy Watkins has gone over this projection every game this year. 96 yards week 1, 44 in week 2, 68 in week 3, and then 49 in week 4. Again, he's gone over 40.5 receiving yards in every game this season. He's getting good volumes, consistent volume, 7 targets. I mean, what's not to like about Sammy Watkins here? At some point, he's going to find the end zone as well. Him and Mark Andrews. There's definitely, positive touchdown regression coming for both those guys. So I do like Sammy Watkins a good amount, and I like his over on Prize Picks as well. And if you guys want to tail me on the 3 picks here that I just gave out, you can do like a power play, which would pay out 5x. So you could have a chance to, win 5x your money. Obviously, we need to get all 3 picks right, but you could put down $20 on these 3 picks. And if you go 3 for 3, you would get 5x your money. You would win $100, easy as that. So check out Prize Picks, guys. Make sure to use promo code Noah when you sign up over there. You can tail me on the picks I gave out in this video, or you can go and make some other picks for yourself. But definitely check them out if you have not yet, and make sure to use my promo code so you get that deposit bonus. But then other options, Nyheim Hines at 5,600, little expensive, but I think the game script here is going to be pretty favorable for Nyheim Hines. Right now, like I said, the Colts are on the road. They're 7-point dogs. This is probably going to be a game where they are playing from behind. This is probably going to be a game where Carson Wentz drops back 35, 40 times. Maybe we see Nyheim Hines get 6, 7, 8 targets. At 5,600, that's kind of expensive for Nyheim Hines. I think he will be really low owned, but he does make some sense just because I think the game script is probably going to favor him, and we might see a good amount of him in the second half if the Colts are indeed playing catch up. Mo Alley Cox at 5K, kind of just touchdown or bust. Like most tight ends in the league at this point are like touchdown or bust outside of like Travis Kelce and Darren Waller and George Kittle. Like so many tight ends really all the tight ends in the league outside of like the top 5 guys are like touchdown or bust. And Mo Alley Cox is kind of that. I mean, he caught 2 touchdowns last week. If he doesn't catch those 2 touchdowns, I mean, he's going to finish with like 7 DraftKings points. I really think the only way that Mo Alley Cox gets over double-digit DK points is if he catches a touchdown, just because he doesn't get enough volume. He's not really heavily utilized in this offense, but he is a big body. He's always a threat in the red zone. If you want to play Mo Alley Cox for value, I'm fine with it. Just know that, if he doesn't catch a touchdown, he's probably not really going to do anything, at least not do enough to be valuable. But I will mention that I think this is a pretty good matchup against the Ravens. I think the Ravens have really struggled against tight ends. I'm going to pull this up real quickly. So receiving yards allowed to tight ends, yeah, the Ravens have actually allowed the second most receiving yards to tight ends this season. In terms of receptions, they've allowed the most receptions to tight ends as well. And then touchdowns, they've allowed the second most touchdowns to tight ends. So the Ravens have actually been really bad defending the tight end position. If you want to factor that in, yeah, I mean, Mo Alley Cox definitely gets a bump, but I still think he's, touchdown or bust. Devin Duvernay, he's kind of the wide receiver 3 for the Ravens right now. He's probably going to get like 3 to 5 targets. He got 6 targets last week. Another guy that does feel kind of like touchdown or bust. I mean, Duvernay just doesn't get enough volume to where he's going to be someone that can put up 10, 15 DraftKings points, and the only way that he does get 10 or 15 DK points is if he catches a touchdown. I think Duvernay's probably a little bit expensive for my liking. I don't think I'm going to go to him or really have much of him at 4,800. That just feels like a little bit too expensive for me. The Ravens defense, I usually don't play defenses on Showdown slates, but this is a pretty good spot for the Ravens defense. Carson Wentz will definitely take sacks. He'll fumble the ball. He'll throw interceptions. The value on this slate's not the best, so I don't mind the Ravens defense. The kickers, I think, are fine. One of the 2 kickers, whether you want to go with Tucker or Blankenship, whoever it may be, especially because value's not great. Yeah, I think playing one of the 2 kickers is totally fine on this slate. Paris Campbell, another guy that just, doesn't really get enough volume. I mean, so far this year, he's got 3, 4, and 3 targets through 4 games. When you look at his snap percentage, just the snaps that he's playing, week 1, he played 61% of the snaps. Week 3, he played 80%, and then last week he played 44%. He's probably going to play 55, 60% of the snaps. He's probably going to get maybe 4 to 5 targets. I think he's fine for value. I don't feel great about Paris Campbell, but at 3,800, the value, again, is not great on this slate. There's definitely options we want to pay up for, like Lamar Jackson. We want to get, the quarterbacks in, Carson Wentz. You got Hollywood Brown at the top up there. There's good options to pay up for at the top. It's just, if you want to fit those top-end options, you're probably going to have to look to guys like Paris Campbell, like, Devin Duvernay, these guys that we don't feel great about, but they're going to help you get those top-tier options in. So Campbell, I think, is fine. I feel better about the kickers, honestly. I think I'd rather play the kickers, but Campbell's in play. Jack Doyle, another guy that just doesn't really get utilized much in this Colts offense. It seems like Mo Alley Cox is kind of the number 1 tight end for the Colts right now. Like Mo Alley Cox, his snap percentage, 46% in week 3. He played 69% of the snaps last week, whereas Jack Doyle only played 30% of the snaps last week. It kind of seems like Mo Alley Cox is trending up, whereas Jack Doyle is trending down, which is never a good sign. Jack Doyle has shown some upside in the past, but he's just not utilized enough in this Colts offense. Even though he's really cheap at 2,600, I don't think I'm going to play Jack Doyle on this slate. Lev Bell, the backup running back, he got 4 carries last week. He might get 5 or 6 carries, but I don't think I'm going to play Lev Bell. Tyson Williams was a healthy scratch last week. We'll have to see if he's inactive again. If he's inactive again, obviously don't play him. If Tyson Williams is active, though, for this game, keep an eye on that because, he could get some opportunity if he's active. But again, we don't really know that yet since he was a healthy scratch last week. But there are a couple of punt options I do want to mention. So Marlon Mack is only $600. He actually was kind of utilized last week. He got 10 carries, was not very efficient at all, only averaged 2.2 yards per carry, but he got 10 carries. He also did get a reception as well. I don't really know why, but just out of nowhere, they decided to give Marlon Mack 11 touches last week. There were reports that he was looking for a trade. I don't know if the Colts were just trying to showcase him or what was going on, but yeah, out of nowhere last week, Marlon Mack did get 11 touches. He played 31% of the snaps. He was inactive week 1. He played 19% of the snaps week 2, and then he was inactive week 3. If Marlon Mack's confirmed active for this game, I don't know if he's going to get 8 or 10 touches. I mean, I wouldn't think so. I still think Nyheim Hines is the backup running back behind Jonathan Taylor. But if they're going to give Marlon Mack, 8 to 10 carries at $900 or $600, I mean, Yeah, he's playable, I would say. Just make sure that he's active. I don't think it's a guarantee that he's going to be active for this game. It seems like, he was a healthy scratch weeks 1 and 3. They made him active week 2. They made him active this week or last week. It looks like they're going on sort of a pattern. They're going to make him inactive 1 week and then active the next week. So if they stick to that pattern, he's going to be inactive tomorrow. But keep an eye on that. Marlon Mack, if he plays and is active, I guess is a punt option that is at least playable. But the one guy I do want to talk about for cheap down here is Rashad Bateman. So Rashad Bateman is currently on the IR, but we may see him make his debut on Monday night. So I'm recording this video Sunday night, guys. I usually always record these videos the night before the slate starts. Last report we got was that Bateman may make his pro debut Monday against the Colts. I think both these guys have a chance of playing this week. John Harbaugh said when talking about Bateman and Miles Boykin. So there is a possibility that Rashad Bateman does make his debut for the Ravens on Monday night. Bateman was a first-round draft pick for the Ravens, so he is someone that I think they are pretty high on. Obviously, if he's a receiver they took in the first round, I don't know if he's just going to be full go, right out of the gate. I don't think that's not going to happen. He's going to be on some sort of limit. This is going to be the first game that he plays in all season. If he does wind up playing, he's going to be on a pitch count most likely. But at the minimum salary, $200, like even if Rashad Bateman's on a pitch count, I'll have him in my player pool because he's obviously super talented. He's a first round draft pick. He's a rookie. He's got upside for sure. At $200, if Rashad Bateman's active Monday night, yeah, I'm going to have some exposure to him. I don't think he's going to get like 8 targets or anything, but he'll probably play 25-30% of the snaps. He'll probably get at least some opportunity, maybe 3 or 4 targets, and that's good enough for me at $200, especially since, on this slate, we want to try and fit in these top-tier options, Lamar, Hollywood Brown, Carson Wentz. You're going to have to go cheap to get these guys in. If Bateman's active, he's going to be in my player pool. Did want to mention that, but yeah, I think that does it for the player pool, guys. I think we really talked about like all the playable options tonight, all the guys I at least have interest in. And I think that kind of does it for the breakdown. Now, real quickly before we end the video, want to kind of hit on roster construction real quick. Just kind of talk through how to build out your lineups. I say it every week. Normally, running backs, receivers, pass catchers in general are like my preferred captain plays. So like, Marquise Brown, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, Zach Pascal, Mark Andrews. Like normally these would be the guys I'd be looking to at captain, but obviously we have an exception here. Lamar Jackson, I tend to not play quarterbacks at captain on Draftkings Showdown, but Lamar Jackson is an exception. This is someone that can, kind of do it all himself. He doesn't have to throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns to put up a ceiling game. Lamar Jackson can throw for 150 yards and 1 touchdown and still put up like 25 Draftkings points because obviously he can run for 100 plus yards. He can get you multiple rushing touchdowns. He's an elite rushing quarterback. He's a guy that I think is clearly the top option on this slate. And, if I'm playing one lineup tonight, I'm probably playing Lamar Jackson at captain. It's kind of tough because, when you do that, you're definitely thin on salary. But we talked about some cheap options we can go to. Like, I already said it. If Bateman's active, I think Bateman's probably one of my favorite values. If we can confirm that, he's at least going to see enough snaps to be worth rostering at $200, we're not going to need very much from him to be a good value at this price point. So assuming that Rashad Bateman's active, I like him for value. You plug him in for value. That leaves you a lot more salary. You'll have some extra salary to work with. You could probably get in Carson Wentz. You could play both quarterbacks in this lineup. You could probably pair Lamar Jackson with one of his receivers, whether you wanted to go with Hollywood Brown or Mark Andrews. Hollywood Brown's kind of expensive, so let's plug Mark Andrews into this build and then see what else we can get. So we got $7K left per player for our last 2 spots. If we wanted to play Mark Andrews in this build, we wouldn't really have much left except we'd have to play like Jack Doyle, and I don't think I want to play Jack Doyle. But we could maybe go down to like Michael Pittman. If we play Michael Pittman, that leaves us enough to play like Mo Alley Cox or Devin Duvernay, which I'm fine with. Mo Alley Cox, I think's touchdown or bust, but again, he could catch multiple touchdowns here. Nobody would be surprised if that happens. He caught 2 touchdowns last week, so you could do something like that if you wanted to. You could maybe try and upgrade from Mo Alley Cox to like Sammy Watkins, who I definitely feel better about. If you play Sammy Watkins, that leaves you enough to play Zach Pascal. So basically you have to ask yourself, do I want to play Michael Pittman and Mo Alley Cox, or do I want to play Sammy Watkins and Zach Pascal? I think I kind of lean in Sammy Watkins, Zach Pascal there, but again, that's just kind of a 2v2 you can debate. But that's just kind of a lineup I kind of like for this Showdown slate. Showdown's very simple when it comes to correlation, guys. Normally quarterbacks for me are not captain-worthy plays, but on this slate, I think Lamar Jackson is someone I would definitely have in the captain spot, good amount of captain exposure to. I don't think you need to play. Normally, when you play quarterbacks at captain, you want to have like multiple pass catchers. But like I said, Lamar's one of those guys that can do it himself. He doesn't have to throw for 4 touchdowns to put up a ceiling game. But if you want, you could pair one or two of his receivers with him at captain. But like if you're playing any lineups that have Michael Pittman in captain, you want to make sure to have Carson Wentz in those lineups. Any lineups that have Hollywood Brown at captain, you want to make sure you have Lamar Jackson in those lineups, because if you're assuming a receiver goes off, puts up a big game, that obviously means the quarterback is also, putting up those numbers as well, because they're getting the ball to the receiver. So I did want to go over that just real quickly. I always kind of like to talk through roster construction before we end the video. It's something I do in all my videos, but I hope you guys did enjoy. We broke down everything, talked through everything for tonight's Showdown slate. If you guys enjoyed this video, click that like button down below. I do always appreciate the likes, guys. Click that subscribe button as well if you have not yet. Make sure to comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite plays for tonight's Showdown slate. I'm always reading the comments, guys. Always love to hear your feedback, whether it may be feedback or any comments you have about this slate. I'll definitely be in the comment section replying to everything. But best of luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you did enjoy. We'll see you in the live stream Monday night, a couple hours before kickoff. I'll be live on my YouTube channel breaking down the slate once again with you guys. I hope to see you there. But anyway, best of luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.